Boom. You can go ahead and re-screen share.
Great.
And I'll start moderating the chat. And you can kick us off if you're ready.
Yes, I'm so ready. I've been so excited for this, you guys, because Ray and we've been working on this for like 2 months, like preparing everything, and it's been a long time coming. So I'm excited to jump into it. So thank you guys so much for coming. Tonight is day one of three for the Escape Plan Live. And we are going to get into what the purpose of this event is and what you can expect here in a couple of minutes. Um, and we already talked about kind of like where everybody is from. I'm in Nevada and raised in California, and it sounds like we have a lot of other professionals across the country, which is really cool. So if you're just joining us, if you want to drop in the chat where you are watching from, that would be great. And we can learn more about everybody who's here. And we also have one of my team members, Taylor, is here in the chat with us to help us with sending links. So while you guys are here watching with us, if you miss anything and you need a link for something, just add it to the chat and Taylor will get it over to you. And then before we dive into material, we would love to, if you feel like you're getting value out of this, invite you to follow us on Instagram at DPT to CEO or at Ray Gorman DPT. Ray and I post a ton of helpful content on Instagram, and we also both have YouTube channels. If you want to head over to there and subscribe. Okay, cool. So Ray is just dropping our handles there in the chat. So let's get into the escape plan and into this event. Here is what to expect. So first and foremost, we are so like grateful that you guys are here and spending time with us, for an hour for the next 3 days. We really tried our best to put a bunch of valuable information into these presentations. And so like we would really love for you to be as present as possible during this training. You're really going to get the most out of it. If you're here engaging with us, asking questions and letting us know where you're at, and definitely pull out like a notebook or a note on your phone to take notes as we go, because we will have time for questions at the end each day. So if there is anything that we don't cover that is like a super burning question, please let us know in the chat. And or Taylor is going to post a link in the chat here where you can fill out a super quick form to send questions to myself and Ray so we can make sure that we cover them as we move forward. Um, so let's see. Our goal this week in the escape plan is to show you our three-step process to unlock the proven roadmap to confidently grow your cash-based practice and leave your full-time job risk-free. We know that there are a lot of people out there who are scared to make the jump. We've been there before, and we want to give you all of the tools that you need to feel confident in making that transition, because it's a lot closer than you think. And we would love to help get you there. And if nothing else, by the end of this event, what Ray and I really want for you after spending this time with us this week, uh, and what I really want for you is to implement what you learn during this event over the next 3 days and take action. We're going to talk a little bit about how we help people if you're interested in that, but if not, that's totally fine. We just want you to take the information from this event and take action. Do something with it so that you can take the opportunity to move forward. So I would love to ask for a commitment from you guys who are here, because this is a 3-day event. It is a commitment to be here, and we're so grateful that you're here, but we want you to be committed as well, to, engaging with us, to asking questions, and committing to the 3 days. It's only 3 days that you're going to hang out with us. So if you are committed to learning as much as you can here with us, taking notes, asking questions, and if you're committed to taking even 1 inch of action by the end of this event, just comment "I'm committed" in the chat. And we would love to hear, where you're at with that. Okay. So we're commenting "I'm committed" because Ray and I super committed to being here and helping you as best we can. All right, awesome. iPad is committed. That's what I love to see. Zach, Paige, Larry, Ever, awesome. Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate the commitment. Okay, so we are here for day one of three. Day one is going to be all about mindset and authority. All of the things in business, it all comes down to mindset, and it's a great place to start to make sure that you have your head in the game and you're ready to go to move forward. Um, we want you to know that when it comes to starting your practice and your business, this isn't just about being a clinician anymore. It's about embracing your new role as a business owner. And we're going to talk about shifting your mindset to that, defining your ideal clients, which is something a lot of people have questions on, and owning your authority in this space. And I just wanted to take a couple of minutes here to let you know kind of the game plan for after this event. It's no secret that both Ray and I offer business coaching programs for healthcare providers and other health and wellness professionals to start and grow your own practice. During our time together this week, we are so happy to have the opportunity to get to know you and for you to get to know us so that moving forward, if you or somebody that you know is looking for guidance on this journey, you'll have a better idea of what it's like to work with us, and figure out if it'll be a good fit. And like I said before, totally okay if not. But we figured this would be a great time, for everybody to get to know each other and see if it's something that you're interested in. So if it's okay with you, just type yes in the chat. If it's okay for us to talk a little bit more throughout this event and on day three about the way that we work with people just like you to help you start and grow a successful business. I promise it'll be brief. It won't be like this huge long thing. But we're both super passionate about supporting other business owners. And we love what we do. So if it's okay with you, just type yes in the chat. And I promise this event is going to be mostly really good content for you to take action on with like a little touch of we'll talk about what we do to help you as well. Awesome, cool. Caroline, Patty, Sammy, yes, good. We're on the same page. Okay. And just so you know, too, for those of you who might not be familiar with what business coaching can look like, because I know I have talked to a few people recently who asked just like a little bit more about what it is. Ray and I both work with practitioners one-on-one virtually. So we do, virtual conference calls. Uh, and we work with practitioners who are looking for guidance and a step-by-step process to make their new practice successful. We both have proven roadmaps to help our students reach their goals. And so if you're looking for that kind of support along the way, our coaching programs could be a good option. All right, cool. And it sounds like we are all good to go on that, but just one other tiny little piece of housekeeping to keep in mind. We do want to take the time to share with you a special opportunity to reward your efforts and courage in starting your own practice. If you attend this event all 3 days and either submit an application for my program or book a call with Ray, so you take action with either of us by Monday, February 3rd at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. You will be eligible for a $500 scholarship for either of our coaching programs. We are planning to choose one student per scholarship, and we are looking for students who are actively participating in this event and are ready to go after their goals ASAP. So I'm super excited about this because I want to help you take action, and the scholarship is to reward action takers. You will get instructions in your email after the session and after the event, a little bit more about the scholarship and how to be eligible for that. But again, we're looking for students who are serious, who want to participate in making their goals come to fruition, and who are ready to make moves in that direction. So the main point of all of this, coming to an end on the intro here, is that starting a practice is not for the faint of heart. We are looking for people who are locked in and ready to make 2025 their year of succeeding in their practice and in their business. It takes a lot of work and dedication, and starting to condition yourself to have that discipline. And so this event is to help kind of propel you into the new version of you who's going to be successful this year. So with that, that's the intro. And now, Ray, it is your turn to hop into the presentation.
Let's go. It's really cool when you like stop screen sharing and I see everybody in here, like two
Hmm.
pages of people. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. What is up, y'all? I think most of you, kind of know backstory of myself and Morgan. Quick little intro for those of you who don't know me. Dr. Ray Gorman, physical therapist, strength and conditioning coach, and owner of Engage Movement. Larry, what's going on, man? Yeah, I recognize you for sure. I was wondering if that was you. So quick background for me, right? My background in this journey is, probably like a lot of you, tore my ACL, went to physical therapy, and I didn't realize it at the time, but like it started to reshape my mindset of the business that I wanted and how I wanted to operate. And I didn't feel like traditional models really worked for me. Like I always knew I wanted to blend what I was doing as a physical therapist with strength and performance at some point. But I didn't really know what that journey was going to look like. So I started my cash practice about a year out of school. And I quickly found that like I wanted to manage clients more than I just wanted to treat in person. And so one of the things that I think really separates what Morgan and I do is, our model really blends kind of a virtual offer alongside our in-person process. So for those of you that are interested in that type of model, we can definitely chat about that. And I know Morgan's going to talk about some of the differentiators there as well when she kind of talks. But the biggest thing that I want to kind of start off today with, and none of this is going to matter. None of the things that we teach you guys are going to matter unless we can get these things dialed in, is that your mindset as you shift away from being an employee into a business owner, it has to change radically, right? So we're going to talk about establishing your mindset, building authority as an entrepreneur. So the big thing here is like the longer I am in business, the longer I go through, the more I realize that the more I develop as a person, the better business gets for me. So awareness is key. You have to recognize where you're at and what skills you need. The biggest mistake that we kind of see people make is they think that the process to getting more confident in your business is becoming a better clinician. It is a trap, right? Like, look, don't hear what I'm not saying. I am not saying you don't need to work on your skill set as a clinician. I am not saying you don't need continuing education. I am saying you can get all the con ed in the world, and it's not going to change the way that you feel about business. You have to develop the right skills, right? So, the skill set that you guys have right now, what we're taught in PT school, is we are taught how to service revenue, right? We are taught how to deliver the service of physical therapy. That is what they teach you in PT school. That is what they're preparing you for. But as you step into business, you really need two things to be a complete business owner. You need to understand how to attract, you need to understand how to market, you need to understand how to convert, how to sell, so that you actually have the opportunity to deliver world-class results to your clients. Like this is huge, right? So what we see, what Morgan and I see all the time, is we see people chasing certifications. We see people chasing residencies, OCS, SCS, whatever it is, thinking that that is going to give them the confidence that they need to start their business. And I can promise you guys, like, it does not work like that. Like, that is a rabbit hole that I was going to go down when I was practicing clinically. And the longer that I am in business, the more that I understand it's like these first two things are really what's going to make or break everything. I guarantee that those of you that are here, the reason why you're here is because you already feel like you provide better care than the peers around you, right? Like you already see what you're doing as rising you to the top of the profession. So what I'm seeing when I talk to people in this journey is like they're already standout physical therapists. They don't need more skills and deliver. They need more confidence in areas that they lack the skill set in, right? So attraction, marketing, and sales conversion. This is going to take reshaping everything that you guys have been taught because the way that like we grew up, the way that our parents grew up, in a lot of cases, we have been shaped with employee mindset, right? Like whose parents here said like, don't take any risks, just go work for a company, get a good job, collect your retirement, and then be good. Like that's literally like what I was told at one point, right? It takes reshaping that. As an entrepreneur, you have to understand that you are not going to be relatable to a lot of people. Like you are not going to be relatable to a lot of people. Everybody is going to judge you for taking risks, for going the unnecessary route, for going down a path that they don't understand, that they couldn't imagine stomaching, right? This quote always resonates with me. Who you are is not who you need to be to build what you want. So, like, I want you guys to sit for a second and I want you to just think. I want you to think about the ways that you are behaving right now, the way that you make decisions right now. And I want you to think about like what needs to evolve as you shift your mindset away from being from an employee mindset to an entrepreneurial mindset. I'll give you guys an example for me. For me, it was thinking that I could do it all by myself. Like that was a really big shift for me that I had to make as I shifted into wanting to grow my business. I had to be open to the opportunity of accepting help from others who had been there and stop telling myself that I could just do it myself. It was costing me time, it was costing me money, it was costing me energy. What do you guys think? What's one thing? Drop one thing in the chat that you feel like is something you need to change, you need to shift as you kind of step into this entrepreneurial version of yourself. What's one word? Time management. So prioritization, right? You have to get out of that time blocking aspect. You have to get out of that I don't have time, right? All of that stuff. Huge. You're not a martyr. Like, you're not a martyr, you're a doctor. We have to start elevating ourselves as a profession. We have to start understanding how valuable the skill set that we have. I get that you probably didn't go to PT school for the money, but like we also didn't get into this profession to be broke. Um, I think our profession deserves at minimum, a six-figure salary, a six-figure earning potential. Yet the average PT wage is like 85K. That is insane for the amount of debt that we incur. So some of this, you have to reshape the way of where you are clinically now, the clinic that you're in right now. Because one of the things that we see is we see clients who come to us and say, well, my current client wouldn't pay me those rates, right? My current client wouldn't pay me those rates. Exactly. That's the point. Your client demographic is going to change. Your current client is not your future client. That's the first shift that you need to make. The second thing that you need to make is your skill set is valuable. I don't advise that you, when you talk about what you do or what you sell, I don't advise that you talk about physical therapy, right? Because what do people think of when they think of physical therapy? They think of laying on the table, getting your hamstring stretched. They think of a traditional clinic. So we have to position ourselves as what we do differently. Yeah, yellow TheraBand, right? You just in the corner doing external rotation stuff. You have to sell a solution. Like you have to sell a solution to a problem for somebody. Let me give you guys an example. When we talk about the sales process, right? In the insurance realm, it's good enough for a client to come in and say, my knee hurts when I run and I want it to stop and I want it to stop hurting when I run. Like you can get away with that in the insurance realm. When you go into the PT realm or into the cash PT realm, you have to understand that you can't stay surface level anymore, right? So I want you guys to feel the difference in this. Client comes in and they say, my knee hurts when I run. And instead of saying, okay, cool, I understand why you don't want your knee hurt when you run, you say, well, why is running important to you in the first place? It changes the entire sales process. You're going to get answers like, well, running is really like the thing that is kind of therapeutic to me. I work a really stressful job, and when I go out on a run, it's like I get like this mental clarity, and it is just such like a stress reliever for me. Okay, and how long has it been that you've been unable to access that thing that is a stress reliever for you? It's been 6 months. With you not being able to clear your head and get that stress relief for 6 months, in what way is that starting to have an impact on you? Do you guys see where I'm going with this? Work is harder for me. I feel myself performing less. I'm short with my kids. I'm short with my wife. I actually snapped at one of my kids the other day because I don't feel like myself. It's not about knee pain anymore. It's about helping them get back to that old version of themselves. The first shift that you're going to have to make in a lot of cases is your relationship with money. You have to understand that when you find the right client and when you exclude 99% of the wrong clients, the right clients are going to be happy to pay you thousands of dollars to solve their problem, right? Morgan's going to talk a little bit about that. So sometimes it's just a matter of examining our beliefs around money, right? And I want to share with you guys like some of the things that I am trying to reshape as far as my relationship with money. Because you guys may think that, oh, it's easy for Morgan and Ray to say, like they've got it all figured out. Like I guarantee you, before either of us make a big investment in coaching in our business, I guarantee you we get a pit in our stomach. I guarantee you that when we face rejection from clients who we know are a good fit to work with us, we get a certain feeling and sensation as well, but we learn how to control that. We learn how to navigate that, right? So the more that I start to shift my mindset around money to being abundant instead of being this resource that is scarce, the easier it becomes to make it. So you have to start believing that like money is everywhere. I mean, they literally print it these days. Like money is everywhere. My belief is that a lot of my ideal clients are not affected by the economy because I know economy is a big topic right now, right? But so what that, even if they are, my belief is that they aren't. So I don't let it block me from putting offers out there, from creating conversations, from talking to people, from having creating opportunities for them to engage with our content. Money is meant for me. When I spend money, my money goes to people who deserve it. Money allows me to serve more people freely. And this is my favorite one because this is one that I'm actively working on. Money is meant to flow like a river, not be stored like a lake. So the concept of that is if you are unwilling to invest in yourself, why would your client then invest in you? You're asking them to do things that you are unwilling to do. Quick story. Right before Christmas, I was looking into this new coaching program, and the story that I was telling myself in my business was that people don't sign up for coaching programs in December because of the holidays. So there was one reason that pushed me over the edge to sign up with this new coach that I'm working with, and it was because I wanted to break that belief for myself. I wanted to be the person that signs up for the coaching that I knew I needed, even though it was a week before Christmas. So, like, this is a process of action. This is a process about um, diving all in and facing the things that you confront. Larry, I'll make sure I get you some recommendations on those things. But what I want you to know is like the reason why you're telling yourself you shouldn't do something is likely the biggest reason why you should, right? That is kind of the key here. So PT school made you seek perfection. Who here is a recovering perfectionist? Right? Yeah. I think a lot of us got into PT school because we were perfectionists. We followed the rules. We knew the process that we needed to take to get there. We knew what was going to be on the tests, right? But guess what, guys? The world is not perfect. Business is not perfect. Perfect doesn't exist, and perfect situations don't teach lessons, right? What you are building is a journey of becoming. It is not a destination, it is an evolution. The coolest thing that happens in our program isn't the businesses that we help people build. It's the people, it's who the people become while they're building them. It's people who were people pleasers who learn how to stand up for themselves. It's people who never did anything scary who took the leap. It's people who always took the safe route and did something that was against the grain. So I want you guys to kind of reflect for a second. What do you think will actually cost more? Protecting yourself from rejection or facing it? Just like your clients, right? The only way your clients, your patients are going to get better is if we put them through a process of
You
graded
okay?
exposure. We got somebody who came off mute there.
Please be careful.
Who we got off mute? Let's find you. Give me one sec here. Okay, I think we're good now. Maybe not. I got it. Boom. Okay. So it's just like with your clients, right? If we don't make them face the things that they are fearful of, they're not going to actually get through a full rehab process, right? You can only grow through exposure as well. Before I got good at sales, I freaking sucked at sales. I got my butt handed to me on sales calls. But guess what? I had to get my butt kicked for five so that hundreds after could go well, right? You have to go through that process. I get it, guys. You don't have business experience. And guess what? At one point, you didn't know how to be a physical therapist, but you learned. I want you to think back because I know everybody remembers this experience, right? I want you to think back to your first evaluation that you ever did, where you were probably like so over prepared. You put your client through every special test, right? You checked range of motion on every joint that was in the area. You're feverishly documenting. And, then you come out and your CI is like, well, how do you think that went? And you're like, I have no freaking clue. And so what did you do? Right? You reflected on it. You kind of said, like, hey, next time I go in, do I need to do all those special tests or do I need to do these three? Like the big thing that we leave our clients with, one of our big mantras is like, I want y'all to think like a chemist. A chemist is constantly tinkering with things, trying to get the right formula to get the reaction, right? Business is like that. Rehab is like that. I want you guys to know that these things aren't that far off from a similar process. It's all through iterations, but you have to make mistakes. You have to try things. You have to hypothesize. Like that's the only way that you're going to learn. So now, like tactically, how do you actually become an authority? Um, a couple concepts that I think can be super helpful. There's this concept of showing versus telling. So I'm sure Morgan does something similar to this in her program, but the first five clients you get are not about making money. The first five clients are all about being able to get proof of concept and showing your results, right? You also like can't tell people that your evaluation process is different. Show the people in your pipeline, coaches, trainers, whoever's going to be a referral source, show them for free how your evaluation process is different. Invest in your reputation, right? This isn't giving away services. This is getting paid in a different currency. And that currency is authority. That currency is proof of concept. Borrow credibility. So one of the things that I did that worked really well for me is every trainer or coach that I knew got a free evaluation and discounted treatments. Every gym owner that I knew got free evaluation and free treatments. Guess why? Because I could borrow credibility from them when they say, hey, raise the man, you've got to go work with Ray, to all of their members, right? Like that is such a cheat code to speeding up this process. Your clients are going to want to see consistency, consistency in how you show up, consistency in how you post, consistency in what you talk about. It doesn't mean you need to post 7 days a week. You can post 1 day a week, but show up consistently, right? Let them know that you're serious about this business, that it's not just something that you're trying to build on the side, that it's something you're trying to take to the next level. Own and share your story. Like, don't hide pieces of your past, right? This is something that I've been working on more in my content is like, who is Ray the person, not just who is Ray the coach? What does Ray believe in real life, not just what does Ray believe about business? So, like, I want you guys to know part of this stuff is still a work in progress for me, right? Like, it's hard for me to show personal content. It's hard for me to say, like, no, the clients, they are buying into a piece of who I am, not just what I do. And then the other thing is create your own intellectual property. So, there's a reason why what we do is called the performance provider growth model. It has meaning to people who follow us. It has meaning to people who want to implement that process. There's a reason why when we talk about implementing a virtual offer, we don't call it remote programming. I used to do that. Bad idea. Fell kind of flat. Now we call it a prescriptive exercise program. Like you have to do that for yourself so that you stand out. Because remember, when people hear physical therapy, they're not thinking about what you do. They're thinking about what happens in traditional clinics. This is the piece that I want to leave y'all with. Hope this one hits home for you. Who's heard this? Business is risky. You know what sounds like a real risk is staying in a job, getting a 3% raise year after year, and having all of my time controlled. So, to people who say business is risky, I can't relate to the alternative. I can't imagine going back in that. Like, what if the real risk is actually just going down the path that's known? To me, that's a much riskier option. Drop in the chat, what was the one thing that resonated with you the most from this presentation? What was the one thing that resonated with y'all the most? Not a martyr. Absolutely. Y'all deserve it. Money mindset, reshaping that money mindset. Yeah, Larry, I'll look up some stuff for you as well. Graded exposure every day. What if the risk is saying where you're perfect doesn't teach lessons? Know your worth and value. Empower yourself, take the leap. Love it. Love it. Love it. You guys caught the hint from that presentation. Be consistent. Boom. Everybody's going to have something that they need to work on from that, right? Everybody is going to have something that they need to work on for that. Cool? Love it. Boom. Borrow credibility. Awesome. Yeah, nice, Amanda. You gave and you got right back. Like, it's just amazing when you do that. All right. Morgan, are you
Hey,
ready to talk with them about how do you actually define and find your ideal client?
nothing would make me happier, Ray. I would love to talk about that now.
Crush it.
Um, and yeah, and before I share my screen, I just want to say, thank you guys so much for participating so much in the chat, throughout Ray's presentation. Like, it's very clear to me that like you guys are in the right place, like you're ready to like learn more and like move on to the next level and take some action. So I love it. It's super cool. And it's really nice to have the opportunity to meet everybody here. Okay, so moving into part two of day one. One of the biggest questions that I get from other therapists and other professionals who want to start their own practice, their own business is, where do I get clients? How do I find clients? And so between today and tomorrow, we're going to talk a good deal about that. Again, to give you like real actionable information on how to do that. Um, okay. So, coming off of all of the amazing mindset stuff that Ray shared with us tonight, I hope that, you guys are really like internalizing it and it's starting to get the wheels turning a little bit to help you shift the way that you're thinking about things. I also wanted to share a little bit of mindset stuff that's, I think, really essential in order to help get you on the right thought process when it comes to creating a marketing plan and when it comes to finding your ideal clients. Um, so when you start on your marketing, if you come at it from a place of decisiveness, problem solving, and abundance, rather than being flippy floppy, allowing yourself to feel helpless, and a big like scarcity mindset, you're going to be much more successful. That's one of like the biggest, I think, like pieces of advice that I can impart to you right now about like going out and finding clients is view it as a problem to solve, not like a skill that you don't have and that you can't figure out. It is a problem to solve, and there are lots of ways that you can do that. And as the clinician that you are, we're very used to solving problems, right? When we work with our clients and we're working to help make them feel better, you do research, you try things, and you figure out through whatever results we get and observations that we make, what is working, what's not working, and how to continue to evolve the plan moving forward. When it comes to ideal clients, one area of unease, I would say, that comes up for a lot of clinicians who are newer into business, that might even kind of cause you to panic, is when you are getting into this process of defining and identifying your ideal client. Um, and throughout this process, however long it might take, you start to panic because you're just worried about like, I need any clients at all. Like, I just need somebody to come in and pay me. And you might let yourself kind of like fall back into, again, like that like scarcity mindset. Um, just like being really unsure of yourself. And we have to remain like with horse blinders on, essentially like very like locked in and knowing that there is a problem in front of you that you can solve and going at it from a place of abundance. And learning to trust yourself. Like you probably know right now who your like perfect ideal client is, who you would love to work with. And I'd love to hear that from you guys in the chat. I know for me, when I first started, I really wanted to work with athletes, specifically CrossFit athletes. Like those are the people who always made me the happiest when they came into the outpatient clinic. People I could run through drills, we could do a bunch of strength training together. It was a lot of fun. And when it comes to, like your process of finding your ideal client, I would encourage you to start there. Picking a group of people who you love to spend time with, because you're going to be spending a lot of time together. So for everybody, who's here with us, who is your ideal client? Who would you love to work with? Anything under the sun, whether it's diagnoses that you love to treat or a certain population, we'd love to hear more about that. Patricio, show me the clients. You got it. We have plenty of information coming. Um, Yeah, and so like in this process, we are starting to define our ideal client. Again, trust yourself in that process and know that like you can build confidence from within by staying the path and staying there rather than, I guess, like falling prey sort of to like the panic that might come up because you're just like, I need anybody. Um, Okay, musculoskeletal babies. And I know Karen, my team member, also loves to work with babies. Golfers, Jerry, people committed to health, pediatric neuro, that's awesome. Pregnant and postpartum moms. I'm also in the pelvic health community, so love that too. That's awesome. Thank you guys so much for sharing. Runners, orthopedics. Great. Yeah. Like there's so many populations out there that we can be really passionate about working with and start there when it comes to your ideal client. So once you determine who your target client group is going to be, always I recommend you have to give yourself a good 6 months of focusing on that group before making a pivot. If you feel the like capital P panic starting to set in, just take a deep breath. Everything will be fine. The reason that we need to lock in for those 6 months is that we have to go deep into that target market and really understand who they are, what problems they have, and design services and learn how to communicate about them in a way that resonates with that group. And it's going to take time. You know, like if you decide on, say, like runners this week, and then you want to switch to working in peds next week, and you're just constantly flip-flopping back and forth, you're not going to give yourself enough like time to gain momentum and develop a really strong marketing message. Um, yes, if you try to speak to everyone, you're gonna risk attracting no one. It's just not gonna work. For a lot of us here too, we are like solo practice owners, and as a single person business, like you just don't have time to try to cater to everyone or even to try to treat everyone. That's the other thing. You know, if like by the grace of God, somehow like having a very like plain marketing message did get you a million clients, you don't have the time to treat everybody. And so it also makes more sense to really like narrow your niche and who you're trying to work with so that you fill your schedule with people that you like to be around, you like to treat, and it's not too overwhelming. Um, and the other thing that we need to address right from the get-go is rejection. So I think this is also a factor that can come into play with the capital P panic that comes up with defining your ideal client. Is that like what could happen is say you decide your ideal client is going to be runners, you present your services to one runner, they say no, and then you're just like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like everything I'm doing is wrong. And that makes you kind of like revert back and like try something else. We need to talk about this because all of us are afraid of it. Like Ray talked about this earlier that, even us, like it still happens where there is kind of like an internal like fear of rejection, and it's a very common thing. It doesn't feel good. And most of the time we try to avoid it. And it upsets us so much because our initial reaction and thought is that the person is rejecting us as a person. When somebody says no to you, please take away. They are not saying no to you as a person. They are not saying no, you're not good enough. They're not saying no, like this is so stupid. There's a reason why they might be saying no to the services right now, and it's not you as a person, it's the services. And learning how to separate that is really important so that you can continue to gain confidence in your sales and in your marketing. Um, it's a big, big difference. And learning how to separate that is going to protect your self-worth and self-confidence. So, as you start to market yourself to your ideal group of people that everybody has defined now in the chat, remember, people are going to say no, and it's normal. Statistically, most people are going to say no at first. And this is something that we've been talking a lot about in my coaching program. Most people off the street, they don't know you, they don't like you, they don't trust you, so they're going to say no. And then it's on you to have some kind of nurturing and follow-up process so that people do get to know you, get to like you, and get to trust you, and then they'll finally say yes to working with you. And like ultimately, when it comes down to it, when people say no, it either just means that it's a no right now, and this person, is going to continue to be in your ecosystem. Your offer's not good, which is something that we can problem solve and we can evaluate. Like Ray was saying with the chemistry analogy, we can like figure out like which pieces might need to be improved upon. Or the person that said no is just not your ideal client, which is going to happen too. Um, and that's okay. So, I'd love to know in the chat, is anybody here like worried about with the process of starting your practice and kind of like putting yourself out there and talking about who you want to work with? Are you guys worried about the rejection, about people saying no? Um, because I know I was so nervous. It's like the first probably like 3 to 4 months that I was in practice, I was so nervous about putting myself out there, and really, I guess becoming that doctor frame that Ray was talking about, and being the expert and making the doctor's recommendation about what needs to happen. I was so worried about people saying no, people not liking me. Um, I don't know, like just whatever like other people thought. Um, and then like over time, eventually it does get better. Um, okay, yeah, everybody, okay. So we're all we're all on the same page. Everybody here is nervous about being said no to. Um, Amanda, cool is freaking Larry the cucumber in person, but online I absolutely freeze. Um, Patty's working hard on reframing imposter syndrome. Absolutely. And like I love that you're working on that. It's something that I think all of us have to work through and continue to have to work through. Um, so yeah. Yeah, and I appreciate you guys, being open and vulnerable about that and sharing that with us. Um, just know that you're not alone. The rejection is going to happen. And I think when you can kind of go into it with that, remembering that in your mind that like the person in front of you could say no and it's okay and they're not rejecting you as a person. It's just a no right now or it's not the right offer or something like that. I know it makes me feel better and it really helps me like maintain my self-confidence. Yeah, Karen's still working on imposter syndrome. Absolutely. Okay. And I also want to take a moment to continue to cement your new identity as a business owner, going off of what Ray was talking about, in relation to beginning your marketing and finding your ideal clients. So, something that I hear too often from clinicians who want to start their own practice is that they would love, absolutely love, to have a full caseload of their favorite people to work with, but they just don't want to do any of the sales and marketing. If you've ever said that out loud or in your head, let us know in the chat. Give me an emoji in the chat if you've ever said that. You would love to just have your clients just call you, out of the blue, fill up your schedule, and you just wish you didn't have to do any of the sales and marketing stuff. I know lots of people that I talked to have said that, and if Ray and I had a solution where we could say, we'll give you 1 million clients and you don't have to do anything. Like we'd be very successful. However, like I do want to say like there's no shame in it as much as I'm like laughing about it. I think I probably said it at one point as well. If we didn't have to do any of these other business functions and we just magically found ourselves with our favorite clients, happy to pay for our services, we would all be over the moon. It'd be great. Yes, Karen, Lori, yeah, absolutely. But what we really want you to know is when you are starting your own practice and your own business, you are going to take on a brand new identity. It is steps well above being a staff clinician. And I need you to change your mindset around this because it's going to lead you to having a full caseload faster if you accept that there are going to be these other roles that you need to take on in order to get where you want to go. And so I really like to think of it as a tree with two main branches. On one side, you're a clinician focused on care, education, working with patients, solving problems for your clients. And on the other side, you are the business owner responsible for marketing, sales, finances, admin, and leadership in your business. It's normal to feel uncomfortable wearing all of these hats at first, but discomfort, I want you to take as a sign of growth. If you're always comfortable, you're not evolving and you're not going to be growing. Discomfort means that you are learning and expanding your skills and bringing yourself up to a new level. You need to think of the opportunity that you have in front of you right now. To start a practice, to start a business, you have this opportunity to become a marketing person and become a salesperson as a means to get to the end. You have the opportunity to learn killer sales skills and marketing skills so that you can have the dream and the privilege of working with your ideal clients. So, like we all go into this thinking like I just need clients. I just need people to sign up and work with me. But you are going to have to take a couple of stepping stones to get there by becoming a marketing person and becoming a salesperson so that you have the opportunity to work with your ideal clients. Um, and it's just something that I think it took me a little while to really like internalize myself. And once you kind of understand that that is required and that's part of the process, I think it allows you to really lock in to getting good at marketing, getting good at sales so that you can work with those clients. So, finding your ideal clients. A little bit more specifically for Patricio. This is for you, the slide. We are going to define who your ideal clients are versus not your ideal clients. And this is a big thing to remember when you are going from a traditional healthcare setting where it's typically insurance based to working for yourself, most of the time being cash based. Your ideal clients are a totally different group than most of the patients that you work with in a traditional healthcare model. And once you kind of like understand that and internalize that piece, I find that it also takes a lot of pressure off of trying to sell your services to literally everybody that you come across. There are criteria of who is going to be your perfect person to work with versus people who are not. Like we talked about earlier, and you might have found yourself saying that the current patients that you work with, there's no way that they would pay cash for your services. And you might be right. There's a good chance they're not your ideal clients, and that's okay. So, comparing ideal versus not ideal, or in a lot of cases, not ideal clients mostly being insurance based and your ideal clients being mostly cash based. Our cash clients or our ideal clients and the people that we are going to be looking for out in the community to get to know and nurture our relationships with, they are investing in outcomes, not just services. They are going to look to you and like Gray talked about before, they are going to tell you about the goals that they have and why they want to fix the problem that they're having. They're not going to be as concerned about, am I going to be seeing you 3 times a week for 12 weeks and like it costs this much and blah, blah, blah. Like they have a vision for their health of where they want to go. They're highly motivated and compliant. Compliance is good. We love that. Because they are putting their money where their mouth is, they're often frustrated by the limitations of insurance and they value personalized care. And I know, like for me, that also like describes me when I'm looking for healthcare. I am definitely somebody where I would pay out of pocket to work with a PT where like our values really align and they can really help me reach my goals. And I also pay out of pocket to see a nurse practitioner who has a similar cash-based model because that's the kind of care that I want to invest in. And so for me in my practice, those are the types of clients that I'm looking for as well. And of course, our ideal clients, we're comparing to not ideal clients who they don't see the value in investing in their health, typically not compliant, and they're okay with subpar service. For people who fit those criteria, it's probably going to be a much longer journey to try to, like Ray talked about, like show them the other side of what things could be like, and it's not impossible to bring somebody over from not ideal to ideal, but when it comes to our marketing and the people that we're looking for to talk to and to advertise to, if we look for people who fit this ideal client column, it's going to be easier to fill up our schedule and fill up our caseload. Um, Yeah, mindset hack when you switch to cash pay, start paying cash yourself. Yes. There's a lot of integrity in that, I think, and being able to share your own story about like why you're investing in your healthcare. And that resonates a lot with people. So I'd love to know in the chat, think about your current caseload, whether you're an outpatient, at a hospital, you're working home health, whatever patients you're working with right now. Can you think of one person who fits the description of your ideal client? Um, the person that stands out to me, who I still work with, I have a client named Karen right now, who was one of my clients back when I worked in outpatient ortho. I think 5 years ago now is where I first met her. And she is an active runner. She's super active with doing strength training as well. She's done a bunch of marathons, half marathons. And when we were working together in outpatient, it was fine, but like she could very clearly see the limitations that we had in the clinic for the type of care and the type of services that are more like fitness forward that she was looking for. The outpatient clinic was very limited. And so she ended up asking me if I could work with her outside of the clinic. And I've been seeing her now since like on and off since 2019, which is kind of crazy to think about. But, even though I did meet her in an insurance-based clinic, she was somebody that fit the ideal client mold. Okay, so far and few between, and that's okay. The patients that you're around right now might not be an ideal fit, but my hope is that by talking about the difference between these two groups, um, it takes a little bit of pressure off of you to try to figure out how to sell your services to people who are not your ideal clients, because you don't have to. You can look for people who fit the ideal client mold. Okay, and then here is the last piece of strategy that we are going to go over today, to help you find your ideal clients. And tomorrow, we're going to talk more about specific marketing like tools and tactics. So stay tuned for that. But we need to get specific. To succeed, you need clarity about your ideal client. So ask yourself, as a practice owner, as a business owner, what do I do? Who do I help? What problems do I solve? Where could I find my ideal clients? And how can I reach them? Those are like some very basic questions to start off with. And so I think, for everybody who shared with us like the group of patients that they love to work with, so like your ideal schedule, if it's peds, if it's runners, if it's in pelvic health, can you name in the chat one place, whether it's in person or online, where you might find those people? Where do they hang out? Where can you start conversations with them? I know for me, I go to the gym all the time. So, like working with my CrossFit athletes, I see them every day and I talk to them every day at the gym. And that's like one place to get started with. Okay, and Paige says daycare. Awesome. So, finding people to talk to there. And that's what we have to start to get our wheels turning, is thinking about where these people are, either in person or online. And then we can figure out a way to go and talk to them. Cool. Lori says mom Facebook group. Caroline, mom's groups as well. Awesome. Okay, cool. Local senior center, group fitness classes. I love that. Okay, here's a thing really quick, side note. Speaking of group fitness classes, something that I suggest to people who are looking for clients who attend gyms or fitness classes is we do a mini challenge called Gym Week. A la Shark Week. And we do Gym Week, where we go on Google and find a bunch of gyms or boutique fitness studios in your local area, find the classes, the times of the classes, and then add them to your schedule and go try out a different fitness class every single day for a week. You're going to go and meet a bunch of new people, and it's going to be the fittest week of your life. So, like, if nothing else happens from it, it's going to be good for you and good for your health. And that is something, is a tactic that I really love because it focuses a lot on input versus output. Um, Put yourself in places where your ideal clients might be. And doing something as simple as that, like one new gym class every day for a week, that's something that you can control and put yourself in front of dozens of your potential ideal clients. Yeah, super efficient. That's what we gotta be. So anyway, if you guys end up doing a gym week slash shark week, please let me know. Okay, cool. So, last piece here, and this might even be something really cool for you guys to maybe like write out and journal about tonight before class tomorrow. Write some stuff down so you can share with us in the chat tomorrow about what do you do as a practice business owner? Who are you helping? What problems do you solve? If you can name 3 problems that your ideal client typically has, I think that's a really good place to start because when you go to market and advertise your services, if you can name 3 specific problems that your ideal clients have, um, it's going to resonate with your audience. They're going to know that you understand them and that you can help them. So, suggestion there, maybe at 2 to 3 places where you can find your ideal clients, like we just talked about in the chat. If you guys want to take some time to write that stuff down tonight and then share with us at class tomorrow, I think that would be awesome. And then we'll be able to talk a little bit more about specific marketing tools, like I mentioned as well. Um, so specificity is powerful. Remember that. Commit to it, trust yourself. It's going to help you focus your energy and make your marketing much more effective. So that is the end of our ideal clients for day 1. We'll get into more specifics tomorrow, and then I believe Ray is going to close us out for tonight.
Yes, perfect. So before y'all go, thank you for that, Morgan. I'm going to drop 2 links in the chat. No pressure on this stuff, guys, but we know that like some of you may only be able to come today. You may not be able to make the other 2 days. I want to make sure that you guys have the call links and application links for both myself and Morgan before we get into any of the wrap up here. So there's mine. And here's Morgan's. So just so you guys have these, again, you don't need to do anything with them. Make sure that y'all have those. Um, as we wrap, I want you guys to drop in the chat what was the biggest takeaway of the entire day for you? Like, what was your one aha moment as we kind of wrap up here? Drop that in the chat. Big things for tomorrow is we are going to get into going, kind of this cold to committed, right? So we're going to talk about like now that you know who your ideal client is, how do you actually take them from cold to committed? We're going to talk about the pricing structure. Morgan, what's your stuff on? Where to find clients. Yours is actually tactically
Yes,
like where to go find clients. So
marketing.
we're kind of building on this stuff as far as now that you know how to identify your ideal client, how do you actually bring them through the journey? How do we, nurture them? How do we make sure that we can convert them to clients? All that kind of stuff. Perfect. Yeah, some really big wins in there as well. Um, I know that it is 6:06, but we started a little bit late just to kind of let everybody settle in. We want to open up maybe for like 10 minutes here. If you got a jet, that's totally fine. We are through all the content. But if there are any questions that y'all have, let's kind of, because we do still have like 30 something people here, go
Yeah.
ahead and raise your hand. There's like a little raise hand feature. If you're feeling really brave, both raise your hand and if you want to, you can come off, turn your camera on if you do have a question. Does anyone have a question? Anyone feeling brave here?
And I did get one question in chat about the replays and the plan,
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong. The plan is we're going to send out the replay links through email
Yes.
by the end of the week at the very latest. So you guys will get that. And we also got a question yesterday about pricing. And we're going to talk specifics about pricing a little bit more tomorrow.
Yes, and all of the links, all the replay links will come in one email on Friday, just so y'all know.
Cool.
Patricio, you look like you're getting brave.
Yeah, I am. I was actually talking about it with a coworker earlier today, and he's on this chat as well. But a lot of I'm assuming you're going to get to it, but I feel like it's always taboo as far as talking about how much are you charging and blah blah blah, and we're scared to
Hmm.
say our prices, and we're scared to say I'm worth this much, and I'm sure at some point you guys kind of talk about yeah, this is where we're at. Morgan, I followed a lot of your YouTube, and I feel like you definitely empower people to say what you're worth and go after it. So I've seen a couple of your videos on that. But yeah, I'm hoping, that we kind of inspire each other to see the worth in what we charge and see the worth of, maybe even charging a little more. And I feel like
Hmm.
that was one of the things I had a hard time with that sales pitch of, oh, I'm at this number, right? And then since then, after seeing some of Morgan's videos, I've actually gone up like $50 and up here, and
Awesome,
Yay.
man.
my eval is more now. And I
Yeah.
have a distinguishing, all right, we're here, or you know what? I had a patient that liked to go an hour and a half. I'm like, nah, that 30 minutes extra is 30 minutes extra,
Yep.
So I'm hoping you have dedicate time to really, listing what people should be charging.
I'm going to give you my exact pricing philosophy
Cool.
tomorrow with some examples and kind of what I want to see as like bottom lines when you're selling packages.
Yeah.
My thought process behind why we teach our clients to structure things in those ways. And also like we can talk about some strategies of not to not be transparent about pricing, but to not have pricing conversations until your client understands the value
Mm.
that is attached to the price.
Hmm.
Because, like legally, we obviously are binded by a good faith estimate law to provide that information, but you can still very tactfully make sure that you're having the right conversation when it is appropriate to talk about pricing,
Yeah.
right? Because if you throw pricing out there without context, it doesn't make sense. And this is kind of part of that process of knowing how you position everything, knowing how you reposition everything. So we will 100% get to that tomorrow.
And then I have one more. I'm glad that that sounds good for tomorrow. One more thing is like, so I left outpatient, went to IPR, and for some reason I have this one, and I've tried searching. I have this one rule that I remember was like, ooh, you got to be careful with Medicare patients because you know they should have Medicare services
Sure,
provided, right? So hopefully you get a little bit of clarity on that for us because a lot of my patients that I serve leaving outpatient, and right now I'm fully IPR, they're that Medicare age, right? So
sure,
a couple of them like, you're kind of red tape for me around that because I know they have to have their Medicare benefits like respected, right? You can't
sure.
really, so hopefully you kind of touch base on that tomorrow.
Yeah, we can definitely touch base on that.
Yeah. Patricio, I am curious if it's okay. Can you tell us what you do charge?
Yeah, so I charge 200 per eval and 150 per session, and I believe that's justified. There's times where I'm like, you know what, this is a little further. I wish I somehow worked into like mileage or worked into,
So you're
you know,
doing concierge as well?
yeah. So I left my outpatient.
Yeah,
I started IPR, and then outpatient patients didn't like my replacement. So then that's how I got turned into cash pay. I'm like, hey, I can't go to the clinic no more. I'm sorry. And that's when they're like, we'll pay you cash. So sure,
right.
I went down that route real quick. I ended up getting the same questions from my IPR patients. And I'm like, okay, well, let me legitimate myself because I really like my IPR role. So I talked to the CEO, I talked to my director, I formed my LLC, got my malpractice. So I said, hey, this is what I'm doing. And I started grabbing patients from my IPR, and then it became a mix of outpatient and IPR. So that's currently what I'm doing. And I feel like patients in the IPR setting typically do see worth in one-on-one in
Hmm.
private practice because they are getting the short end of the stick with home health. And
Hmm.
right,
Yeah, makes sense.
but
Makes
yeah,
sense.
Matt,
Yep, and I can tie that in tomorrow now, knowing a little bit of your situation. I'd definitely recommend if it's concierge service, I think you got room to go up. So I can definitely tie that in tomorrow of like how I would structure that a little bit. And you can also prompt me in the chat when I'm covering that.
sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. And I think like just with pricing, like just practicing, like saying it out loud, even if it's to yourself,
Yeah.
or like to a friend or a spouse sometimes, like that can be good practice. Because like for a lot of us, like we're not used to telling people how much the services are, and it could like
You
I'm
could
like
hear
sweaty
it.
thinking about it.
You could hear it in the voice. I feel like
Yeah.
a lot of
Hmm.
times I was assertive. No, this is 150, and before it used to be,
Yeah.
well, I kind of charge 150.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're okay with that, it's kind of
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
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 But
Cool.
yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff with that. So tomorrow's class I think will be really interesting and really helpful for
perfect.
everybody. Um
Larry, did you have something? I saw you pop your camera on for a sec.
Oh no, I just thought you said for everybody to turn on their camera on,
Oh,
so I was just doing that.
you were just
But
getting brave.
Dr. Ray, I was part of your program
Yeah,
years and
yeah,
years
yeah.
ago,
I
and
remember you,
my
man.
my practice is doing great, and I'm just always
Awesome.
continually learning, and I love jumping on these calls, and I'm growing my practice right now, and just I love hearing this stuff again and again and more,
Yeah,
and just wanting to invest into my clinicians that work for me because now I'm in the point in my life where I'm actually not doing a whole lot of the treatment, more of the sales process, the intake, and now just teaching my clinicians to, you know, uh, um, continue on the treatments and also the same mindsets and communication. So just helping them develop those skills.
for
So,
sure.
yeah.
Good stuff, man. Well, it's good to see you here, Larry.
Yeah.
and I just wanted
Brett,
to say I saw Brenda's comment here in the chat that she only wants to work part-time and her biggest barrier is starting a cash-based business but having enough time for both. And I just wanted to bring that up because we're actually going to talk about time management stuff on day 3 too.
yeah. Brenda, what setting are you in? Just curious. You can pop it in the chat or you can come off mute, either one.
Yeah, sorry. My kids are crazy. That's why I'm
All
not
good.
on
All
camera.
good.
But I'm currently working inpatient PRN just because the hours are good. But I want to work with runners.
Okay,
I'm more of
cool.
outpatient orthopedic setting, or just anything. And so, just yeah, I just trying to figure out how I can do that as a mom and part-time cash pay, and just because I feel like there's a lot of barriers for starting, or I get overwhelmed kind of by
Yeah.
everything, and that's kind of
The
the bad thing.
the cool part for you is because you're inpatient rehab, I'm sure that like you probably have way more flexibility than like if you were outpatient where you had to kind of be tied to a schedule. So I think you can actually really use that to your advantage. And the nice part is like one of the things that we see PRN that I want you guys to kind of take away from this if you're doing that, like it's also like your availability that you're giving to them. So one of the things that I kind of see with people is like, oh, I'm working PRN, but they have me scheduled 40 hours. It's like, well, hold on a second. Like, who's in control here? Right. So, like, one of the things that I want to make sure is the PRN relationship is as needed, but also like you can potentially, I'm not saying you, Brenda, but I'm talking generality. You may have to firm up some boundaries of what you can and can't do so that you can ultimately buy your time back with a higher leveraged in-person session. And then, what our model does specifically is we, especially if you're working with runners or active populations, we then sell what we call a prescriptive exercise program to them so you don't have to rely on those in-person sessions to free up some time. So there are some model things that you can do as well to kind of escape that, feeling like you need all of these in-person sessions would just continue to get more and more time expensive. And we'll talk about that too as Morgan and I kind of wrap and talk about our specific programs. I know people are popping off here, but tomorrow, same link, same time. So y'all have this. Expect to see you tomorrow. Brenda, did you have anything else that you needed had a question on, or was that what we will cover it? I can promise you that.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah, you got it. All right, y'all. Well, we'll see you tomorrow. Same link, same time. Thank you all for coming. See you guys mañana.
Thanks. See you tomorrow.